What if your financial beginning does not determine your financial ending? What if being born with little does not mean you are destined to stay with little? What if the skills, ideas, work ethic, and opportunities already in your hands are enough for God to begin building something greater than you can currently see? Today, I want to tell you the story of David Green, the founder of Hobby Lobby. This is not a story about someone born into extraordinary wealth. It is not a story about someone who had a perfect education, powerful connections, or a ready-made business empire waiting for him. David Green grew up in a pastor's family with limited means. He worked as a young person, including picking cotton, and became interested in retail through his early jobs in five-and-dime stores. He later started with a $600 loan and began making miniature picture frames in a garage. Today, Hobby Lobby has grown into a multi-billion-dollar company with more than 950 locations. Now, we need to be clear from the beginning. This is not a formula that guarantees every Christian will become a billionaire. God is not a vending machine, and money is not proof that someone is more spiritual, more faithful, or more loved by God. But David Green's story gives us powerful lessons about how biblical principles can shape a business, a family, and a financial future. This episode is about building. It is about starting where you are. It is about becoming faithful with little. It is about developing a skill, solving real problems, learning through failure, staying humble, managing debt wisely, and treating wealth as stewardship, not ownership. So let's explore the biblical business principles behind Hobby Lobby's success. Principle 1. Do not despise small beginnings. One of the greatest lies people believe is that small beginnings do not matter. People say, "I don't have enough money. I don't have the right connections. I don't have a big enough audience. I don't have a degree. I don't have the perfect idea." And because they do not have everything, they do nothing. But Zechariah 4:10 asks, "Who has despised the day of small things?" David Green did not begin with a massive store. He began with a $600 loan. He and a partner borrowed the money to make miniature picture frames. Green's first Hobby Lobby store opened in 1972 and was only 600 square feet, half used for manufacturing and half for retail. That is not glamorous. That is not a viral success story. That is small. But small does not mean insignificant. Small is often where discipline begins. Small is where faithfulness is tested. Small is where you learn whether you will manage wisely before you have more to manage. Many people want a billion-dollar vision, but they do not want to start with a $600 level of faithfulness. They want the full store, but they refuse to start in the garage. They want the large platform, but they will not create the first piece of content. They want the business, but they will not learn the skill. They want the investment portfolio, but they will not save their first $100. Do not despise the beginning. Your first client matters. Your first product matters. Your first sale matters. Your first savings goal matters. Your first disciplined decision matters. Because wealth does not begin when you have a lot. Wealth begins when you become faithful with what you have. Principle 2. Build from your God-given skill. David Green did not try to become successful by copying someone else's calling. He found an area where he had experience and interest. That's retail. He worked in retail after high school, became a store manager, learned about products, displays, customer behavior, and the economics of buying and selling. In his own telling, he recognized that retail was where he was gifted and where he believed God had led him. That matters. Because sometimes people ask God for $1 million idea while ignoring the skill that is already in their hands. What do you know how to do? What problem can you solve? What do people already ask you for help with? What can you learn that makes you more valuable? Proverbs 22:29 says, "Do you see someone skilled in their work? They will serve before kings." Skill creates access. Excellence creates trust. Value creates income. That does not mean you have to be the best in the world before you begin. It means you have to take your growth seriously. You may start by learning sales. You may learn video editing. You may learn design. You may develop a trade. You may learn digital marketing. You may become a better teacher, consultant, writer, technician, or service provider. But you need to understand this. Wealth often follows the value you create for other people. David Green saw an opportunity in the craft market, but he also understood how to sell, display, organize, and serve customers. So do not simply pray, "God, make me wealthy." Also pray, "God, show me the problems I can solve. Show me the skills I need to develop. Teach me to become useful." Because purpose and profit are not enemies. When you solve a real problem with integrity, you create value. And when you create value consistently, income has a place to grow. Principle 3. Reinvest before you reward yourself. One of the most powerful lessons from Hobby Lobby's beginning is that Green and his family did not immediately treat early business income as personal spending money. He described putting profits back into the business. His wife worked for the first 5 years without pay, and the family lived conservatively because they needed the cash to build the company rather than sink the ship. This is a principle many people miss. They receive a little extra money and immediately their lifestyle expands. A raise comes and the spending increases. A bonus comes and it disappears. A small business makes profit and the owner spends it before the business gets stronger. But builders think differently. Builders ask, what does this money need to become? Can it become equipment? Can it become an emergency fund? Can it become training? Can it become inventory? Can it become a better tool? Can it become marketing? Can it become an investment? Can it become capital for the next opportunity? This does not mean you can never enjoy your money. It means you do not consume the seed that is meant to grow. Genesis teaches us that every seed produces after its own kind. A seed is not supposed to look impressive. A seed is supposed to be planted. And sometimes your extra money is seed. If you keep eating every seed, you may feel good for a moment, but you will have nothing growing for the future. The early years may require sacrifice. You may have to live below your means. You may have to say no to some things. You may have to use an older phone, drive an older car, wear simpler clothes, or delay a luxury purchase. But this is not punishment. This is preparation. You are choosing a stronger future over temporary appearance. Principle 4. Create value, not just hype. Hobby Lobby did not become successful because David Green had a motivational speech. It grew because the business offered products customers wanted and kept adapting to market opportunities. Green started by making frames, then opened a small retail location, expanded categories, learned from products that worked, and moved away from products that did not fit the business. He described retail as the place where he could build a differentiated, craft-focused offering. There is a lesson here. Do not build your future on hype. Build it on usefulness. The question is not, how can I look successful? The question is, how can I become valuable? Do you help people save time? Do you help them make better decisions? Do you improve their business? Do you make something beautiful? Do you solve an inconvenience? Do you help them learn? Do you provide a service that gives them peace? The market rewards value. But beyond the market, serving people is biblical. Jesus taught that greatness is found through serving. When you create something valuable, you are serving someone. And when you do that with excellence, integrity, and consistency, it can become the foundation of a lasting business. So stop chasing the appearance of wealth. Start building the substance of it. Build trust. Build skill. Build quality. Build a reputation. Build something that can still stand when the excitement is gone. Principle 5. Learn from failure without letting failure name you. This may be the most important part of David Green's story. Hobby Lobby did not rise in a straight line. In the early 1980s, the business expanded on the assumption that the market would keep growing. Then the oil-related economic downturn in Oklahoma hit. Green said Hobby Lobby lost $1 million in 1985, the bank threatened foreclosure, vendors were unpaid, and the business was forced to return to its core arts and crafts focus. Imagine that. A business that had been growing, a business with multiple stores, a business that looked successful, and then suddenly the pressure is so severe that the bank threatens to liquidate it. That is a hard season, and many people have their own version of that season. Maybe your business did not work. Maybe you made a bad investment. Maybe debt increased. Maybe you lost a job. Maybe you trusted the wrong person. Maybe you made decisions you regret. Maybe you feel like your financial life has been hit by a storm. But your worst season does not have to become your permanent identity. David Green later described that period as a lesson in humility and dependence on God. He said the business had become prideful and that he learned he could not do it alone. That is a biblical lesson. Pride tells you, I did this by myself. I do not need counsel. I do not need to learn. I cannot be corrected. I know better. But Proverbs 16:18 warns that pride comes before destruction. Humility is not weakness. Humility is the ability to learn. It is the ability to admit, I made a mistake. I need wisdom. I need help. I need to change the system. I need to go back to the fundamentals. Maybe you are in a hard season right now. Do not waste it. Ask God, what is this season teaching me? What needs to change? What habits are no longer serving me? What have I built on false confidence? What is the core strength I need to return to? Failure is painful, but failure can become education when you respond with humility, faith, and wise action. Principle 6. Manage debt carefully and build for resilience. One of the clearest lessons Green drew from Hobby Lobby's crisis was the danger of being too extended. He said the company learned to get out of debt and later operated with zero long-term debt. He described balancing cash among 3 priorities: giving, growth, and debt repayment. Now, let's be wise here. This is not saying that all borrowing is automatically sinful. But debt is not a toy. Debt is not free money. Debt creates obligation. Debt can magnify growth, but it can also magnify pressure. And when hard seasons come, high debt can turn a business challenge into a survival crisis. That is why Proverbs 22:7 says, the borrower is servant to the lender. The principle is not fear. The principle is wisdom. Before you take on debt, ask, can I afford this if income falls? Do I understand the full cost? Is this helping me build an asset, or am I financing an image? Will this purchase produce value or create another burden? Is there a slower, wiser way to grow? There is nothing impressive about looking successful while being financially fragile. You may have an expensive lifestyle, but no peace. You may have a growing business, but no cash flow. You may have impressive possessions, but no margin. Real wealth includes stability. It includes the ability to survive setbacks. It includes having room to breathe. It includes not being controlled by every bill, lender, or emergency. So do not build too fast simply because other people are moving fast. Build in a way that can endure. Principle 7. Lead with integrity and care for people. David Green has said that when hiring and leading, integrity mattered more than raw intelligence or technical knowledge. He also defined business success as being profitable while taking care of people. That is a powerful principle because the world can teach you to make money at any cost. Use people, break promises, hide information, cut corners, overwork employees, sacrifice family, make profit the only measure of success. But biblical success is bigger than revenue. Biblical success includes character. It includes integrity. It includes truthfulness. It includes how you treat employees, customers, suppliers, partners, and family. Proverbs 11:3 says, the integrity of the upright guides them. If your business grows but destroys your character, you have not truly succeeded. If you make more money but lose your marriage, your health, your peace, or your children, something is out of order. Green said he encouraged leaders in the company to prioritize God, family, and then the business. And he emphasized not allowing the business to consume family life. That gives us a needed reminder. Your business is not your God. Your income is not your God. Your title is not your God. Success should be a tool, not a master. You can build wealth without sacrificing what matters most. And if your definition of success leaves no room for God, family, health, rest, generosity, or integrity, then it may be time to redefine success. Principle 8. Treat wealth as stewardship, not ownership. This is perhaps the clearest spiritual principle in David Green's story. He has publicly said that he views the company as belonging to God, not ultimately to him or his family. Green told Forbes that faith cannot be separated between Sunday and the rest of the work week, and he has stated plans for most of the company's ownership value to go to charity. That is stewardship. And stewardship changes everything. When you think you own everything, money becomes about control. But when you understand that God is the ultimate owner, money becomes a responsibility. You begin asking, how can I use this wisely? How can I bless my family? How can I create jobs? How can I give? How can I support good work? How can I use increase without allowing increase to use me? This is why generosity matters. Generosity is not merely about giving money away. Generosity protects your heart. It reminds you that wealth is a tool. You can enjoy it. You can build with it. You can provide with it, but you must never bow to it. 1 Timothy 6 teaches us not to put our hope in wealth, but to be rich in good deeds, generous, and willing to share. That is the goal, not simply to become a billionaire, but to become someone who can be trusted with influence, resources, opportunity, and increase. So what do we learn from Hobby Lobby's story? David Green did not begin with billions. He began small. He developed his skill. He created value. He reinvested. He endured hard seasons. He learned from overextension. He worked to reduce debt. He led with integrity. And he viewed wealth as stewardship. That is the real message. You may not own a global business. You may never have $1 billion. But you can still apply the principles. You can begin small. You can grow in skill. You can manage money with discipline. You can build something useful. You can learn from failure. You can refuse to let debt control your future. You can lead with integrity. You can give with purpose. And you can become faithful with what God has already placed in your hands. Because the goal is not to chase billions. The goal is to build something that honors God, serves people, blesses your family, and creates a legacy that outlives you. Say this with me: I will not despise small beginnings. I am faithful with what God has placed in my hands. I am developing valuable skills and creating value for others. I choose discipline over appearance and long-term growth over short-term comfort. I learn from failure, but I am not defined by failure. I reject pride, fear, scarcity, and financial confusion. I build with wisdom, integrity, patience, and purpose. I will not allow money to become my master. God is teaching me to steward increase and use it to serve others. Step by step, I am building a legacy of provision, freedom, and impact. Let's close in prayer. Father, thank you for every person listening who is starting small, rebuilding after failure, or believing you for a better financial future. Thank you that you are not limited by our background, our past mistakes, or the size of our beginning. Give us wisdom to recognize the skills, opportunities, and resources already in our hands. Teach us to build with integrity. Help us create real value, work with excellence, manage money wisely, and make decisions that protect our future. Guard us from pride when things go well and from despair when things become difficult. Give us humility to learn from mistakes, courage to face financial pressure, and patience to grow steadily. Help us avoid unnecessary debt, create margin, and steward every increase with wisdom. Lord, make us trustworthy with more. Let our businesses, work, finances, and influence become tools for good. Help us provide for our families, serve people well, give generously, and build a legacy that honors you. We declare that we will not despise small beginnings. We will be faithful today, wise in our decisions, and patient through the process. In Jesus' name, amen. If this content blessed you, please subscribe, leave a comment, and like this video so more people can be encouraged.